Welcome to the Tournament Poker Edge podcast, brought to you by TournamentPokerEdge.com, the only podcast dedicated exclusively to poker tournament strategy. Now here's your host, Clayton Fletcher.
Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to the Tournament Poker Edge podcast. My name is Clayton Fletcher, and I am in pastoral, picturesque East Orange, New Jersey. Happy to be bringing you yet another edition of the world's longest running poker strategy podcast. I can't believe it's May, you guys. This is so exciting. It's a great feeling to know that the month of May is upon us. This month, I will venture to fabulous Las Vegas for my 18th ever World Series of Poker. Now, guys, I haven't always been one to spend my entire summer in Las Vegas. I don't always go for the whole 7 weeks. And if we're being honest, 18 years ago, I don't think it was 7 weeks back then. But there is something very special to me when it comes to summer camp, as some of us like to call it, and just being there for all of the action, possibly having another deep run in the main event, maybe making another final table. Who knows, maybe even collecting a bracelet or two along the way. I'm just really excited, and now that it's May, it feels real. And now you combine that with the fact that they even released the schedule for the online events, and now it's really coming clear, like that it's going to be just a ridiculous, amazing summer in Vegas. There are PLO, PKO bounties. There are mystery bounties. There are so many great tournaments. I can't wait to play everything online, live, cash games, tournaments. I'm very, very excited for it. Some of you have been asking me like how I prep for the summer in Vegas. And yeah, we all know that I use my solver and I work and I do drills and stuff like that. But I feel like there's a lot of mindset prep that goes into it, at least for me. So while I'm working out, I kind of picture what kinds of things might happen in Vegas. Like I'll be doing let's say my bench presses, and I'll start thinking about some jerk at the table who's really obnoxious and is using a lot of bad language, and he's kind of trying to get under my skin and put me on tilt. And I'm picturing dealing with that. And then I'll just imagine that I'm having a terrible run of cards one day, and I just can't seem to win a pot. It doesn't matter if I start with pocket aces or 7 deuce. I miss every flop. All my bluffs get called. All my value bets get check raised or folded to. And it's just one of those days. And if I'm going to be there for 7 weeks, I'm going to have more than one of those days. So part of my prep is just kind of preparing for a long dry spell, imagining being really excited to play in a certain tournament, say the mystery bounty at the Wynn, right? And I'm going to play that one. I'm really excited to play that one. Well, imagine I get there and I just don't get any good hands to play or any good situations. So how will I deal with that? Will I get impatient and start trying to force the issue and make something happen? Will I be strong and wait until the game comes to me? Obviously, we know what the correct answer should be, but I think visualizing these things and planning ahead for the ups and especially the downs is probably a good way to help get your mind right, because I won't be shocked by anything that happens because I've already sort of pre-imagined every possible scenario, every possible outcome. And then I also take some time to picture the beautiful days when I hit every draw and there are nice people at my table who just want to laugh and have some fun, and they smell good, and they're not 700 pounds, so they don't take up 3 seats, and all of those things. Like I try to give myself a chance to imagine the good, the bad, and the ugly ahead of time so that I'm fully prepared, at least theoretically, for anything that happens to come my way while I'm out there. Coming up, we're going to have another hand from day 4 of last year's main event. You guys know I'm in World Series mode, and I always like to look at the previous year's main event in the weeks leading up to my departure from New York to fabulous Las Vegas. But first, I want to revisit last week's strategy hand, and this time we'll use GTO Wizard, and let's see what the powerful artificial intelligence thinks of some of these plays that we discussed on last week's podcast episode. So just to refresh your memory, the blinds were 5,000, 10,000 with a 10,000 big blind ante, and Quang Pham opened from third position, and his stack was 470,000, so he's got 47 big blinds. He's got pocket tens, and then next to act in fourth position, aka the low jack, is Eric Mizrachi, and he's got the ace of spades, queen of spades. Everybody else folded. So let's look at this pre-flop. I'll bet it's not very controversial. Obviously, pocket tens. GTO Wizard says that's a pure open. And ace queen suited in the next position calls 78% of the time and 3 bets 22% of the time, which is a little surprising considering he's only in the low jack and there are a lot of players yet to act. So maybe that's the idea. Like if we 3 bet, we have a better chance of getting this heads up and not getting any trailing callers behind us. But yeah, it's totally fine. Ace queen suited calls 78% of the time according to the solver. And so then the flop comes ace, ace, king, rainbow, 69K in the middle, and Pham bets just 12,000 into 69 with his pocket tens. The solver actually checks this flop 64% of the time. And the rest, it is a very small bet, similar to the one that Pham implemented. So I guess his play would have to be considered solver approved, although checking is preferred. And generally speaking, we do want to check when the caller has position on us and we're heads up on the flop. We don't see bet nearly as often when we're out of position than we do when we're in position and someone checks to us on the flop. But yeah, I remember last week we talked about this. I felt like it might make sense to stab at this a little bit, because if there ever was going to be a flop that hits your range as the pre-flop raiser, an ace and 2 kings is a pretty strong flop for your range. So yeah, I don't really mind the bet at all. And then from Mizrachi's perspective, should he call with a pair of aces or should he raise? It's actually kind of down the middle here. 55% call, and the rest is mostly raising 3.5x. So making it something like 40K here is what the solver would do those times when it does raise, about 45%. But yeah, Mizrachi just called, and then we're going to see a turn. The 5 of clubs, now there's 93,000 in the middle. And Pham decided to bet again. This time he puts in 35K, so just about a third of the pot. And I remember last week I was fairly critical of this play. Like, I didn't really mind the stab on the flop, but I didn't really see what betting the turn is going to accomplish. Clearly, our opponent has called with something, and that something should be an ace or a king a lot. And I thought it would be very difficult to get anyone named Mizrachi to fold an ace or a king in this situation, no matter how many times we bet. So yeah, in this spot, I felt like checking was best. But let's see what GTO Wizard has to say. GTO Wizard checks 48% of the time and bets tiny, 1/5 of the pot. So kind of like we're betting 1/6 on the flop, and then on the turn, we're just going to bet 1/5. So we're going with a very, very small sizing. And that really does kind of make sense. Like, we're going to make this play when we have a king. We're going to make this play when we have a strong ace, maybe ace, king, pocket aces, hands like that. So because we're going to have the board so locked up, we need to bet small so that we can maybe inspire a curious call of a smaller bet from maybe like a hand like pocket jacks, I suppose, pocket nines maybe. But yeah, not really sure what the theory is here. You guys can let me know what you think. I'm on Twitter at Clayton Comic. You can also join the TPE Discord absolutely free and let me know what you think there. But yes, one thing for sure, the solver does not like this chunky sizing on the turn. 1/3 of the pot is not often considered a chunky sizing. But I think when the board is this high card heavy, the wizard says bet small or not at all. And in Mizrachi's shoes, we never fold. We call 81% and raise to different amounts the rest. But yeah, obviously, I think calling is pretty standard here with ace queen suited. And now with 163,000 in the middle, the river comes the queen of diamonds and fam gives up. They go check, check, and Mizrachi wins this big pot with his ace queen of spades. And my question was, why bet the turn? It's hard to analyze from here because the solver will never have pocket tens. Here on the river, it wouldn't have played this river that way. It wouldn't have played the turn in the river this way. So yeah, we've kind of gotten into a line that the wizard would never actually take with this particular hand. But we can say the in-position player facing a check on the river should check behind 82% of the time and bet twice the pot 18% of the time. That one made me say, wow, like we're going to take ace queen suited and go 2x pot? Are we trying to get called? Are we trying to blow the other guy off of a chop? Are we just, like, what are we doing? Our kicker doesn't even play. So it feels like this is just a bluff. You're trying to get the other guy to fold an ace X and put you on a king or better. So yeah, very interesting here, as that is one of those plays that you'll see the solver do. And like in theory, it makes sense. But in the main event, you don't really have to worry about someone making that particular move on day 4 with 1,000 players left in the tournament. Now, guys, I have been focusing a lot on day 4 because in my experience, the 2 times that I've run fairly deep in this tournament, finishing in the top 100, both in 2015 and 2018, I felt like day 4 was the real important day because you're in the money and people really start to jockey for position and you can kind of figure out which of your opponents are going to be trying to survive and maybe ladder up a little bit and who's actually going to try to build a stack for the final table and possibly win the championship bracelet. So yeah, day 4 and even more so day 5, those feel like the really critical days. Like the bubble pressure is off, but no one's even close to being a millionaire yet. So what's going to happen for the next 3 or 4 days to change all that? And so that's why I've been spending a lot of extra time really analyzing and studying hands from day 4. And I'm going to do another one in a minute, but if you guys are interested in trying GTO Wizard out for yourselves, I know you're going to love it. You can study any spot in any tournament, any cash game, whatever you want to do. You can practice, you can do drills, you can play against a perfect robot computer opponent who will absolutely dominate you and show you what you don't know. You can upload your hand histories and your tournament summaries from all the tournaments you've played online and have the wizard analyze them for you. It's fully customizable and so easy to use. And right now, guys, if you click the affiliate link in the description of this podcast, you can get 24 hours free access, a free trial, a 24-hour trial period, and you can check out all of GTO Wizard's features and see how easy it is to use. You don't have to be some kind of coding genius to follow it and figure out how to use the program. It's very user-friendly. And then after your 24-hour trial is up, because you click that link, you'll save 10% on your first purchase. And that link is gtowizard.com/p/TPE. All right, let's do one more hand from day 4. We're going to stay at that 5K, 10K level. We're going to go to a different table where the action folds to our hijack Brazilian player, Luis Dornelles, and he's got pocket kings in the hijack, and he's got about 600,000, so right around 60 big blinds. And Dornelles min raises to 20,000. fold to the button, who is an amateur player named Lonnie Eisenberg. I think he's from Michigan. And Lonnie makes the call on the button with a hand I will reveal later. He's got Dornelles covered, but just barely. He's got 650,000. And so now he makes the call, the blinds fold, and now there's 65,000 in the middle. And the flop comes ace of spades, 6 of diamonds, tray of hearts, ace, 6, tray, rainbow. So I guess even Brazilians experience the effect of the ace magnets, which is what many people like to call their pocket kings. The truth is, usually when you have kings, there is no ace on the flop. It just feels like it happens every single time. But of course it doesn't. Anyway, the action is now on Dornelles with the kings. He's out of position, and it's a pretty dry board, right? So, I don't know. I think this might be a spot where I would want to bet. I know we've been talking for weeks, months even, about checking to the player who has position. But in this situation, I don't really want to relinquish control. If I have my kings, I'd rather just c-bet and take it down instead of checking and then giving this other guy a chance to bluff me with God knows what and represent that ace or whatever. So actually the button, I should have mentioned this before, Lonnie Eisenberg, although he's an amateur player, he's not playing with scared money. His lifetime career earnings were something like $2,000 before he cashed in this main event, which remember, they're already in the money here late on day 4. So Lonnie seems to be playing a bit fast and loose. Maybe his philosophy is, I'm playing with house money. I never thought I would make it this far. Once in a lifetime, yada, yada. So based on some previous hands, I really wouldn't want to check to this guy and have to call with my kings, or to fold them and find out later that I'd gotten bluffed by an amateur from the Midwest. Anyway, let's just put in 25,000 as a c-bet into this 65,000 pot and get on with our lives. Instead, Dornelles decides to check, and Eisenberg puts in 30,000. And Dornelles with the kings, he's not ready to fold just yet. He decides to make the call. So we're really playing a guessing game here, and I'm not really sure I like this game very much at all. The pot is now 125,000, and the turn is the 10 of clubs. So our board is ace, 6, tray, 10, Badoogie, and Hero has pocket kings. So Dornelles decides to check again. I guess if I check this card, I would want to call another bet, another reasonable bet here on the turn with my kings. I really wouldn't like being in this situation. I think sometimes maintaining that betting lead, as Alex Fitzgerald and Topher Goggin are constantly harping on in their wonderful book that they've written, maintaining the betting lead has so many advantages. And I think that checking and then calling, now we have to kind of check and maybe call again here on the turn. I just don't like this situation. But leading would be strange too, right? If we check, call, lead on this board, that would be odd. So I guess if we played the flop this way, we should check and probably call another reasonable bet here on the turn. So this time we check, and into 125, Eisenberg just bets 35. So a pretty small sizing, and Dornelles still not ready to go away with the kings. He makes the call. So now with 195,000 in the middle, the river comes the ace of clubs, pairing the board. And the final board is ace, 6, tray, 10, ace. No flush came in, and the action is on Dornelles. Maybe now it's time to bet our pocket kings. We could bet and fold if we get raised. I suppose we could also check, but now we probably want to call, right, guys? I mean, that second ace really makes it way less likely that our opponent has 3 aces, right? We were more worried about him having an ace before we saw another one on the river. This would make me want to call another bet on the end. And as the bluffer, if I am bluffing, I think I would stop because it's much less credible to try to represent that ace when the top card pairs on the river. So Dornelis checks one more time, and now with 195 in the middle, Eisenberg bets 105, so just over half the pot, and Dornelis folds instantly. Didn't really give it more than 1 second of thought, and I think that is a mistake. Maybe it's okay to fold, but I think when you're playing in the biggest tournament of the year and you've got an amateur opponent who seems to be a bit reckless, you might want to consider looking him up with your pocket kings. Of course, that's easy for me to say because I was watching this on Poker Go, and I knew that Lonnie Eisenberg had the king-queen offsuit for no pair, no draw. Well, okay, he did have a draw on the turn when that 10 showed up, but yeah, just kind of kept firing and hoping that eventually the Brazilian would go away, and go away he did. And that'll do it for this episode. Guys, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give us a good rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever else you might be listening. And for everyone here at Tournament Poker Edge, I'm Clayton Fletcher. Thank you so much for listening.
I wanna hold them like they do in Texas plays. Fold them, let them hit me, raise it, baby, stay with me. Lock in intuition, play the cards with babes to start. And after she's been hooked, I'll play the one that's on her heart.